Welcome back. I'm Natasha Elkington, and we're at the Global Landscapes Forum. And my guest today is Hans Loth, who is the Rabobank Group Executive. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, Natasha.
Thank you. So please tell us how Rabobank is involved in landscape restoration.
Yeah. Well, that's a very open question. So how long do you have? We are involved. To go back to the basics, we're a bank incorporated by farmers. And we are a cooperative. So that means that we work together with stakeholders. And we've been doing that actually for more than 100 years already with our customers that are by and large corporate, but also farmers themselves directly. So we have a division doing wholesale looking at corporate banking. We have a rural department looking at farmers in particular. And we have Rabobank Foundation looking at small-scale farming, but then through cooperatives. And within those cooperatives, you will find many thousands of smallholders. So taken together, that basically covers quite a bit of the supply chain.
Yes, it does. Could you tell us a bit more about your farm to fork initiative?
Well, that's a natural bridge. Thank you, Natasha, because that in essence is what it is about. Because when you try to explain value chain elements to the audience, that tends to get boring. You need a tagline that captures things nice and short, and this is it. What we do is that we want to create a sustainable value chain from the farm gate to our plate, the fork. There are many players in between, and there are many challenges in between. Pricing, volatility, climate change, going from a farm to a processor, a trader, on the shelf in the shop. Many things can go wrong, many things go better, and that's where we want to help.
Great. So since you are the financial expert, the issue that we have is that there's a big finance gap in terms of, restoring land. So how do we bridge this gap?
Yeah, good question. Long answer. I'm gaining time here. Sorry to look at it from the perspective of a bank, because there are many perspectives to look at this challenge. You can look at this as a father or a citizen or a child. I'm a banker, so I look at it from a bankability perspective. And I think that's for now what we need to do, because we need to reel in more banks. Financial institutions, funds, pension funds, what they like to see is a financial model. It doesn't need to be a cash pitting machine immediately, but it does need to bring yield for it to be sustainable. I think we can do that, and I think that's what Rabobank wants to do with the Banking for Food strategy, growing a better world together. Those are just a few of the taglines, but there's a whole strategy behind it. Grouping the stakeholders together so that you create a structure and a model where the beneficiary is the farmer. That's very key to understand. Not the corporate, not the bank, the farmer. But we need to also coach the farmer into a sustainable business model where he or she is used to making profit actually. More food on the table for the farmer, but also for all of us, because then it becomes sustainable. And then the son or daughter would like to do what dad or mother did, which is also a challenge, by the way. Succession planning is a challenge. People go to the city, they don't like farming anymore, there's not enough money to go around. So, long story short, technical assistance, funding, more banks to make business models together with the farmers to get them used to making money and producing more food.
Okay, yeah, great. So how do we attract even more, because private investors, we need more also to help bridge that gap. So how are the ways that you are trying to attract more private investors?
There are several ways. I was in a panel just now, and one colleague from another financial institution looked at it from a sort of online platform perspective, bringing donors and projects together. What we like to do is bring donor funding to the customers of our customers, i.e. the farmers. So we would like to leverage the blended finance of a fund that we're setting up with UN Environment with our commercial debt to, in the end, the farmer, but with the support and the operational footprint of our corporate customers, because they are globally around, they have the presence locally, and it needs to happen locally. You cannot be in Utrecht or Amsterdam or New York and say, I'm going to help that farmer. You have to be there. And you have to reel it together with people that are on the ground. So we have execution partners, we call them, but they're basically our customers. And with them, we try to get the blended finance solution to the farmer. That's a longer story short.
Yeah, that's great. And what about Africa in general, about investing in Africa in particular?
Africa in general, I can only say general things because I'm new here as a
Okay.
person, but also as a bank. We opened our bank less than a year ago here in Kenya, Nairobi. Started with trade commodity finance, which is a great start because then you can follow the commodity streams and get to understand the continent. Rabobank is a bank that goes back in history, but it means also we're not the quickest. So we take our time to understand the dynamics, and Africa is not Asia, it's not Latin America, it's not North America. To come in and say, we've got the money and let's make it happen is silly. You need to understand what drives the different stakeholders, and that's what we're doing here, and I'm doing here today. The fund that I was talking about that we're setting up with UN Environment will have a global perspective. So by design and definition, Africa is very much on the radar. We've chosen for Brazil and Indonesia to become the pilot countries because we have a strong operational footprint, but Africa is next.
Okay, great. So this is my final question. With the projects that you've been involved in, are you going to try and replicate some of them in Africa, like some of the success stories that you've had, like in Asia or Latin America?
Yeah, excellent question. So what we do with our customers in Brazil and Indonesia is actually creating the structures that could work and document them. Okay. So we keep track and then we see if it works. We tend to start small. Small in Brazil means big because they're big farmers, but the structures are the same. For Indonesia, it's different. You have a different farmer profile, and I think it might be more similar to Africa. Okay. So it's more smallholders, and we keep track of the structures that we build, and the ones that don't work we discard. And the benefit from best practices in those regions will help us here in Africa. So I hope we can bring that to the table soon.
Great. Well, thank you for your time. It's been a great
My
conversation.
Pleasure. Thank you,
and
Natasha.
enjoy the rest of the forum.
I will.
Okay, thank you.